The void of space stretched endlessly. Dark and cold, filled with the echoes of dying stars, at the edge of the Orion expanse, thousands of alien ships floated in formation, their engines glowing like scattered suns. They were ready for war, ready to crush the last remaining human colony that dared to exist in their claimed sector. The Galactic Union had gathered its most powerful fleets, hundreds of species united under one command, all sharing the same belief. Humans were finished, inside the flagship of the Zelth Dominion. Admiral Vraun watched the holographic display with satisfaction. His voice was sharp and cruel. "They are weak creatures, small, fragile, emotional," he said. "One strike and their colony will vanish." Laughter echoed through the command decks of the alien fleets as the Admiral gave the final order. "Advance." The dark void came alive with light as plasma weapons charged. Ion cannons hummed and missiles filled the silence, yet, just before the first volley could fire, something unexpected appeared on every radar screen. A strange, massive signal flickered into existence. It wasn't like anything known to the Galactic Union. No one could identify its origin, its class, or even its propulsion signature. The alien officers looked at each other, confused as the signal grew stronger. Then suddenly all radar feeds went blank. For a few seconds, total silence. "Report," Admiral Vraun demanded, his voice rising in irritation. "Unknown interference." "Sir," replied a nervous officer. "The signal is blocking all frequencies." Another officer shouted, "Object incoming, bearing 092, closing fast." The Admiral turned toward the viewing screen, and for the first time in his long military life, his words failed him. Out of hyperspace, a single colossal ship emerged. Its hull was black as night, with faint blue lights pulsing across its surface like veins of power. It didn't broadcast any ID codes, didn't respond to hails. It simply drifted forward, silent and deliberate. The ship dwarfed even the largest alien dreadnoughts. It looked ancient, yet far more advanced than anything they had ever seen. The battlefield fell still. No one fired, no one spoke. Even the sound of engines seemed to fade, replaced by the cold hum of space. The alien crews stared at their displays, and then the name of the vessel appeared on their screens. HSS Vengeance-class Titan. Whispers spread through the fleet. "That ship name is not in any record," one officer said. "It can't be human," another muttered. "Humans don't have technology like this." But deep inside every soldier's heart, an unease began to grow. It felt human. It moved like something built by hands that had known both pain and purpose. Inside the mysterious warship, Captain Elias Ward stood in silence on the bridge. His uniform was simple, black with silver lines, his eyes calm but hard. He looked at the massive display showing thousands of enemy ships arrayed against him. "Eidolon," he said softly, addressing the ship's AI. "Status report." The AI's voice was calm and female. "All systems nominal, shields at 100%. Enemy fleets in combat stance." Ward nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. "Hold fire," he said. "Let them make the first mistake outside." The alien fleets tried to analyze the human vessel. Energy readings fluctuated beyond their sensors' range. The ship's armor seemed to absorb all scanning attempts, creating a void of information. To their horror, it was like staring into something that didn't want to be known. "Admiral, should we attack?" asked one of Vraun's captains nervously. Vraun clenched his claws. "Fire everything we have now." The command spread across the fleets, and thousands of plasma bolts streaked through the void toward the lone warship. The darkness lit up with explosions. Shockwaves rippled through the field. Blinding sensors. For a moment, the aliens cheered, believing the target destroyed. But as the light faded, the human warship still stood there, untouched, unmoved. Every single bolt of energy had been absorbed by an invisible barrier. Then the ship's central core began to glow with deep blue light, like the heart of a dying star awakening. "Energy spike detected," shouted an alien technician, panic filling his voice before anyone could react. The warship fired, no sound, no warning. Just a flash of light so bright it burned through sensors across the entire battlefield. When vision returned, 10 alien dreadnoughts were gone, erased from existence. Their wreckage vaporized before it could even scatter. Every remaining fleet froze in horror. No one spoke, no one breathed. Inside the HSS Vengeance-class Titan, Captain Ward watched the silent devastation unfold. He whispered quietly, "They wanted to test our strength. Now they have their answer," Eidolon replied softly. "Targets neutralized, awaiting further commands." Ward turned his gaze toward the stars and said, "Transmit nothing, let the silence speak for us," and so, across the Orion expanse, the alien fleets waited, trembling. The once proud armies that came to destroy humanity now faced a ship that defied every law of science. The battlefield, once alive with chaos and destruction, had fallen completely silent. No one dared move, no one dared speak, because in that moment, every alien in the galaxy understood. Humanity had arrived. The echoes of destruction still drifted through the silent battlefield. The alien fleets floated in confusion, their comms filled with broken static, fear and disbelief. What they had seen was impossible. 10 dreadnoughts erased in one instant by a single human ship. And yet there it was, still standing, black and cold, with faint blue light pulsing from its core like a living heart. Inside the flagship of the Zelth Dominion, Admiral Vron stared at the display, his eyes wide. "What is that thing?" he muttered. "No weapon should do that." His officers exchanged nervous glances, none daring to speak. Then a voice crackled over the command channel. A voice filled with pride and arrogance. It was Captain Relthar of the Varnan fleet, a younger commander known for his temper. "Admiral, they used a bluff. A single ship cannot hold that power. Let us strike now before they charge again." Vron clenched his claws, torn between fear and pride. He had seen the blast with his own eyes, and yet his ego refused to accept defeat. "Form a secondary line," he ordered. "But keep distance." Relthar ignored the hesitation, his ships already moving forward, engines burning bright. Hundreds of alien vessels advanced, forming a wall of metal and fire, ready to crush the lone warship inside the human ship. Captain Elias Ward watched the movement in silence. His AI, Eidolon, reported calmly, "Multiple fleets advancing, plasma weapons charging. Missile locks detected." Ward placed his hand on the command console, his expression calm. "Eidolon," he said softly, "prepare countermeasures, but do not fire yet." The AI responded, "Acknowledged, Captain. Observation mode active." The alien ships unleashed their fury. The void filled with streaks of red and green plasma. Explosions painted the darkness, and every sensor overloaded again for nearly 30 seconds. The aliens fired everything they had. When the smoke cleared, the human warship was still there, completely untouched. A shimmering blue field surrounded it, bending light and energy away like ripples in water. Panic spread across the fleets. "Their shields absorbed it all," someone shouted. "It's impossible." Inside the Zelth flagship, Vron felt cold sweat on his neck. "Pull back," he shouted. All ships pull back now, but it was too late. The human ship had already begun its response. Its main cannons rotated slowly, locking on to the Varnan formation. From the ship's underbelly, faint lines of light formed ancient patterns. Energy gathered, growing brighter until it felt like a second sun had risen in the void. Then the silence broke. A beam of white-blue energy lanced outward. It wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense, it was judgment. Pure and absolute. When it hit, it didn't explode, it simply erased. Dozens of alien cruisers blinked out of existence, gone without a trace. The shockwave of energy passed through space like a whisper, and every ship nearby powered down automatically. Engines failed, weapons froze. Even the comm systems went dark. "Eidolon," Ward said. "Cease fire." "Ceasefire confirmed," the AI replied, its tone still calm. The human warship drifted quietly once more, surrounded by glowing debris. Captain Ward stared at the remains and whispered, "They were warned." His voice was not filled with anger, but disappointment. For years, humanity had avoided the galactic conflicts, staying hidden behind trade routes and silent borders. They had watched, listened, and prepared, knowing one day someone would push too far. Meanwhile, across the alien networks, panic grew. Every empire was listening to the live feeds from the battlefield. Admirals shouted over encrypted channels, "Do not engage that vessel, repeat. Do not engage." Some fleets began retreating immediately. Others froze in place, unsure what to do. The Galactic Union's War Council demanded answers, but none came. No one could explain how a single human ship had defeated thousands of their best warships. Deep in the Union's capital world, political leaders gathered, their faces pale. "Perhaps the humans reverse-engineered forbidden technology," one said. "Or maybe they found something," another whispered. "Something ancient." Rumors spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Did humans discover a weapon from before the First Era? Were they working with something beyond science? Back in the Orion expanse, Admiral Vron looked at the wreckage of his once proud armada. He felt the weight of his arrogance pressing down on him. He opened a secure channel to the human ship, his voice trembling. "Unknown vessel, this is Admiral Vron of the Zelth Dominion. Identify yourself." But there was no response. No sound, only static. The human warship continued to drift, silent and unbothered. Then a faint transmission came through, a human voice, deep and clear. "This is Captain Elias Ward of the HSS Vengeance-class Titan," he said. "Your aggression has been recorded. Further attacks will be considered declarations of total war." And just as suddenly as it came, the signal ended. Vron sat frozen in his command chair. Unable to speak, his officers stared at him, waiting for orders that never came. In the following hours, fleets began to withdraw one by one. The battlefield became a graveyard of wreckage and shattered pride. Only the human warship remained, watching in silence. Its engines glowed softly as it turned toward the distant stars. The galaxy's greatest military alliance had been humiliated in a single day. And yet, humanity said nothing, claimed no victory, they simply left, vanishing into hyperspace like a ghost from the old legends. When the reports reached the Central Archive, one historian wrote a single line that spread across every system. The galaxy was warned, but it did not listen. The battlefield was now a graveyard of silence. Broken ships drifting slowly under the pale light of distant stars. The HSS Vengeance-class Titan floated alone among the wreckage, its black armor shining faintly like a moving shadow. Every alien fleet had vanished into retreat, leaving behind the ghosts of their arrogance, but inside the human warship, a different silence filled the bridge, a silence of reflection, of purpose, and of secrets long buried. Captain Elias Ward stood at the center of the command deck, his hands resting behind his back, his eyes fixed on the holographic map of the region. He did not smile, he did not celebrate, he only whispered quietly, "Eidolon, status." The AI's voice echoed softly through the chamber, calm and clear. "Enemy fleets destroyed or withdrawn. No further hostiles detected, power reserve stable." Ward nodded slowly. "Good," he said. "Run stealth protocols. We're leaving no trace." As the ship's engines powered down into silent mode, the bridge lights dimmed, bathing everything in a faint blue glow. A few officers exchanged uneasy glances. They had just survived an impossible battle, but none of them understood how. One of them, Lieutenant Harper, finally spoke, his voice low but trembling. "Sir, permission to ask, how did we do that?" "The Varnan fleet. They had numbers beyond anything we could handle." Ward turned to him, his expression unreadable. "We didn't win by power alone, Lieutenant. We won because we've been preparing for this moment for 50 years. Harper frowned, unsure. 50 years, sir." Ward walked slowly toward the large viewing screen, where the remains of alien ships drifted quietly through the void. He spoke softly, but his words carried weight. "When Earth was attacked during the First Contact War, the governments promised peace. But behind those promises, they built something else." He paused. "They called it Project Echo, a program designed to ensure humanity would never be powerless again." Eidolon's voice joined in. Project Echo initiated the creation of 10 prototype vessels, each powered by singularity cores and AI-assisted systems beyond galactic understanding. Harper's eyes widened. 10? So there are more like us? Ward looked at the stars. 9 more hidden across the solar frontier. Waiting for the order to rise, the bridge fell silent again. Every crew member trying to process what they'd heard. Ward continued. "For decades, the galaxy laughed at humanity, saw us as merchants, farmers, colonists, explorers." He clenched his fist. "They never realized that we watched, learned, and built quietly in the shadows." Eidolon's interface pulsed faintly, as if it felt the emotion behind the captain's words. "Humanity's strength was never in technology alone, Captain, but in patience and unity." Ward nodded. "Exactly." He turned to his tactical officer. "Bring up encrypted channel Sigma Black." The officer hesitated. "Sir, that's restricted to Earth Command level." "I am Earth Command," Ward replied coldly. A series of encrypted signals flashed across the console, and then a hologram appeared, a woman in an admiral's uniform, her face partially shadowed. "Captain Ward," she said, "your performance has confirmed operational success." Ward bowed his head slightly. "Admiral Reyes, we engaged and neutralized multiple alien fleets. Project Echo remains concealed." Reyes smiled faintly, but there was something cold in her eyes. "Good. The galaxy must believe it was an anomaly, not a fleet. Harper listened quietly from his station, his heart pounding. He realized now that the battle they fought was not random. It was a message. Earth wanted the galaxy to see just enough power to fear, but not enough to understand. Admiral Rhea's hologram flickered slightly. The Council has decided, Captain. You are to proceed to the next phase. Begin shadow relay activation. Ward frowned. You mean, awaken the others? Not yet, Reyes replied, but soon when the time comes. Every human system must be ready. The hologram faded, leaving the bridge quiet once more. Ward took a slow breath, staring at the stars. Eidolon, he said, do you think they'll come again? The AI's response was almost human in tone. Fear always returns, Captain. It is in their nature. Ward looked down, his voice low and steady. Then we'll be ready when it does, far away. Deep in alien space, chaos spread like wildfire. Governments accused each other of lying. Scientists searched for answers. Prophets called it the night of human ascension. Every broadcast replayed the same haunting image. A single human warship floating alone among thousands of destroyed vessels. Unmoving, unshaken, silent. Some called it a miracle. Others called it a weapon of the gods, but no one knew the truth. No one but Elias Ward and his crew inside the warship's core. The AI sensor scanned the wreckage one last time. It detected faint life signs among the alien debris. And Eidolon asked, Captain, shall we rescue survivors? Ward stared at the screen for a long moment, then said quietly, Leave them. Let them carry the story home. The AI responded simply. Understood. The engines of the HSS Vengeance class hummed softly as it turned toward the distant void. A low voice echoed across the silent bridge. Set course for the outer rim, no transmissions. No signals, the ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind only silence and drifting light. And as the galaxy trembled in fear of the unknown, one truth began to spread through whispers and hidden channels. Humanity had not just survived, it had evolved, across the galaxy. The stars burned as if whispering of what they had seen. The news spread faster than light. Carried through data channels, trade routes, and desperate transmissions, world after world repeated the same message. A single human warship destroyed an entire fleet. At first, no one believed it. Then the recordings arrived, raw and unedited, showing the impossible, in the grand chamber of the Galactic Senate on Vern Prime. Thousands of alien leaders gathered. The massive hall buzzed with fear, holograms flickering above each representative's seat. The Supreme Chancellor, a scaled creature with golden eyes named Talaron, slammed his clawed hand against the table. This cannot be true, he growled. Humanity does not have this power. They were surveyed a century ago. Their ships were primitive. But the Council's analysts displayed the recordings again. The dark, colossal ship, emerging from hyperspace like a phantom, wiping out dreadnoughts with silent precision. No tricks, no illusion, only power. A nervous ambassador from the Drath Combine whispered, If this is true, Chancellor, then humanity has been hiding technology beyond all our understanding. Another voice added, What if this was not their only ship? The chamber erupted in chaos, overlapping voices, fear turning into anger. Impossible, shouted one. They were under observation. They deceived us, shouted another. They've been preparing for war. Meanwhile, in the cold dark of the Union's intelligence station orbiting the moon of Theras, scientists replayed the sensor data in silence. Every reading defied their instruments. Every weapon discharge broke their known laws of physics. Dr. Zekra, the chief xenophysicist, stared at the glowing data streams, her voice trembling. This ship's energy output rivals a black hole's magnetic field, and yet it remained stable. Contained, her assistant gulped. Then, how many of these ships could humanity have? Zekra whispered. Even one is too many. Across alien military networks, panic took root. Empires began repositioning fleets, reinforcing borders near human space. Even though no human ship had crossed into their territory, propaganda spread like wildfire, calling humans deceivers, demons, or survivors of an ancient power. The galaxy had lived in a comfortable lie, believing Earth was weak, harmless, emotional. Now that illusion was shattered, and the silence of fear replaced their arrogance. On the icy capital world of the Velith Dominion, Empress Cora stood before her council, her long silver cloak flowing behind her. She stared at the hollow image of the human warship, its angular design cold and unyielding, It is not a fleet we should fear, she said softly. It is their restraint. Her generals looked confused. One asked, Restraint, Your Grace? She turned to them, her golden eyes sharp. They had the power to annihilate every ship in that battle. And yet they stopped after the first strike. She paused, her voice turning low and grim. That is not mercy. That is warning. Every major empire began sending secret envoys to Earth. Messages wrapped in diplomatic apologies, offers of trade, requests for peaceful understanding, but no reply came. No acknowledgement, not even a signal. Humanity was silent, and silence from such a power was more terrifying than any weapon. At the same time, deep within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, Earth Command held a private meeting. The holographic Council of Admirals surrounded a glowing map of the galaxy. Hundreds of red and yellow dots blinking, alien fleets repositioning. Admiral Reyes stood at the center, her voice steady. They are panicking. Exactly as we expected, a younger officer asked. Should we reassure them, ma'am? Show diplomacy. Reyes shook her head. No, fear will keep them cautious. Fear will keep them away. She turned to the map's center, highlighting Earth glowing bright blue. For the first time in history, they will think twice before aiming a weapon at this world. But not everyone was pleased. In a distant alien council on the edge of the Cathari Empire, a secret alliance was forming. They called themselves the Coalition of Silence, and their goal was clear. Destroy humanity before it was too late. Let them think we are afraid, said one alien general. While we prepare, plans began in the shadows. Whispers of new weapons, forbidden experiments. They believed if humanity was hiding power, they could build something to match it. Back aboard the HSS Vengeance-class Titan, Captain Ward received fragments of intercepted transmissions. He listened in silence as alien leaders argued, accused, and begged. Eidolon reported, Multiple civilizations preparing defensive measures, Captain. Several have initiated secret weapons programs. Ward sighed. Predictable. They always respond to fear with more fear. The AI's tone softened. Should we intervene? Ward shook his head slowly. No, not yet. Let them talk. Let them remember. Outside the warship's window, distant stars shimmered like quiet witnesses to what had happened. The universe itself seemed to hold its breath, unsure what humanity would do next, somewhere far from known space. Hidden inside the nebula of Orion's veil, 9 other human warships waited, silent and dormant, each one sleeping beneath coded commands, each one holding the same dreadful power. Their systems pulsed faintly, as if dreaming of the day they would awaken. In the quiet of his cabin, Captain Ward stared at an old photograph, a picture of Earth, oceans shining blue, clouds curling like silver threads. He whispered softly, They still see us as the children of a small planet, fragile and naive. He placed the photo down, his eyes cold and distant. Let them keep believing that, until they're ready to learn the truth. And across the galaxy, as governments trembled and armies rearmed, a single human phrase spread through every system, whispered in fear and respect alike. When humanity enters the battle, silence follows. Weeks passed since the battle at Orion Expanse, yet the galaxy had not recovered from its silence. Every news channel, every transmission, every encrypted rumor still spoke of that single human warship. The alien empires tried to rebuild their pride, but no one could erase the image of a black titan that erased fleets with one breath. Trade routes shifted, ambassadors vanished, and the word Earth became something whispered instead of spoken. Far away, hidden beyond Neptune's orbit, the Solar Command Citadel floated in the dark, a fortress the size of a continent, cloaked by advanced distortion fields, unseen by any alien eye inside its command core. Admiral Reyes stood before a massive holographic map of the Milky Way. Hundreds of red icons pulsed across alien space, marking fleets that still trembled and a few that secretly prepared for revenge. Her voice was calm but cold. They're rebuilding faster than expected. Captain Ward's message wasn't enough. Her second-in-command, Admiral Sloan, leaned forward. Then perhaps it's time for the next phase. Ma'am? Reyes turned her gaze toward the glowing blue icons scattered across the map. 10 in total. Each represented a hidden human warship, still sleeping under the black directive known as Project Echo. Wake the fleet, she said softly. Let the galaxy remember who we are. On the far side of the system, deep within an asteroid hollowed out long ago, a dormant ship came alive. Dust drifted like falling snow as lights flickered on, revealing the second Titan-class warship, HSS Dominion. Its reactor pulsed to life, echoing across the void. Then another ship awoke near Saturn's rings. The HSS Revenant, its hull reflecting the gas giant's glow. One by one the sleeping giants stirred, their systems humming like ancient beasts breathing again, back aboard the Vengeance-class Titan. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge as his console lit up. Eidolon's voice whispered, "Signal received from Earth Command, Priority 1. All units reactivating." Ward's heart tightened. "So it begins," he said quietly. He turned to his crew, their faces lit by the pale light of distant stars. "Prepare for fleet synchronization. Our brothers and sisters are returning within hours." Space near the solar frontier shimmered with energy. Massive rifts opened, and from them emerged the 9 Titans. Sleek, silent, perfect, each one unique, designed for a purpose. One for command, one for stealth, one for planetary defense. Together they formed a wall of black steel and glowing blue veins that stretched across the horizon. No transmissions, no threats, only presence. And that alone shook every listening post in the galaxy. Across the alien networks, alarms blared. Every sensor picked up impossible readings. 10 human signatures appearing in formation. Perfectly synchronized, the Galactic Senate went into emergency session. Fear spreading like wildfire. "What are they doing?" shouted one ambassador. "Are they preparing for invasion?" "No," whispered another. "They're showing us what they already have." Empress Cora of the Valeth Dominion watched from her throne. The data feeds glowed before her, showing the image of 10 ships lined like silent gods. She whispered to her aide, "We thought we understood war, but this is something else," her aide asked nervously. "Should we prepare for surrender, my queen?" Cora shook her head. "Not surrender. Preparation, because when humans move, history changes." Meanwhile, in the dark halls of the Coalition of Silence, alien generals argued in rage. "They're provoking us," hissed one. "They want us to react." Another slammed his fist. "Then we must now before they strike first." But deep down, they knew. Striking first against humanity now would be suicide. Back aboard the HSS Vengeance, Captain Ward received direct transmission from Admiral Reyes. Her image flickered on the holographic screen. Her tone sharp. "Fleet formation confirmed. You will lead Operation Dawnfall." Ward's brow furrowed. "Objective," Reyes replied. "A demonstration, not destruction. We remind them again, humanity is watching." Ward nodded. "Understood." The Titans began their coordinated maneuver, moving through sectors previously claimed by alien powers. But instead of attacking, they simply passed through silent and untouchable. Every alien world watched in horror and awe as the massive ships glided across their skies, leaving no damage, no sound, only fear. In less than a day they crossed 12 systems, broadcasting nothing but a single encoded message that repeated endlessly. "We seek peace, but we are not weak." In the capital of the Galactic Union, that message echoed through every channel. Some called it arrogance, others called it warning, but no one dared to ignore it. The Senate voted to suspend all military operations near human space. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy stopped fighting. When the fleet finally returned to the edge of Earth's orbit, the sight was breathtaking. 10 massive warships forming a perfect circle around their homeworld, blue light shining across the dark, civilians from Mars, Luna, and Earth itself looked to the sky as faint glows appeared like new constellations. Children pointed, elders wept, and soldiers stood in silence. Humanity had returned to unity, and not out of fear, but pride. Captain Ward stood before the viewport. Watching Earth slowly rotate below, Eidolon spoke softly. "The galaxy now sees what you always believed." "Captain," Ward smiled faintly. "Yes, that humanity never needed to conquer, only to be understood." He looked at the stars. Voice steady and strong, "But they won't understand yet." "Not fully," Eidolon's tone deepened. "Then we will wait. As we always have." The Titans remained in orbit, silent guardians of a planet once called weak. Every empire watched from afar, none dared to provoke, for they all knew the truth whispered across every corner of space. The day Earth's fleet awakened, the galaxy changed forever, and deep within the command center of Earth, Admiral Reyes looked at the glowing map of the stars. Her hand hovered above the console as she whispered, Phase 2 complete. The galaxy now knows the face of peace, but behind her calm eyes, something else flickered. A quiet understanding that peace never lasts. And somewhere in the cold depths beyond the known universe, an old enemy stirred. Something that even humanity's titans might not be ready to face. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy was quiet. Trade routes were empty, fleets remained docked, and even pirates abandoned the outer lanes. The presence of 10 human titans orbiting Earth had reshaped everything, not through war but through silence. Every world waited, wondering what humanity would say next, or if they would ever speak again. In the command citadel above Earth, Admiral Reyes stood before a wide observation window. Below her, the planet glowed blue and beautiful. Surrounded by its fleet of guardians behind her, holographic screens flickered with signals from across the galaxy. Messages of fear, surrender, and uneasy peace arrived every minute. Everyone is waiting. "Ma'am," said her communications officer quietly, "they want to know humanity's intentions." Reyes said nothing for a moment, only watched the slow rotation of the Earth. Then she turned, her voice calm but filled with purpose. "Prepare the transmission. Global or sector-wide, Admiral?" Reyes looked up, her expression unwavering. "No, universal, across the solar system." Every Titan ship began to glow with a faint golden light. Their AI systems synchronized. Linking into one unified signal, Eidolon, the lead AI aboard the Vengeance-class Titan, whispered through the fleet-wide network. "Transmission ready, Admiral. Shall we begin?" Reyes nodded. "Yes, let the galaxy hear the voice of humanity." The signal burst through the void, faster than light, jumping across relay stations and quantum gates. From the frozen moons of the Drath Combine to the shining spires of the Galactic Union's capital, every screen flickered. Civilization stopped mid-sentence. Soldiers froze at their posts, and merchants abandoned their stalls. The same image appeared everywhere, the blue world called Earth, spinning silently beneath the gaze of its titans. Then a voice spoke, calm, deep, and unmistakably human. "This is Admiral Helena Reyes of the Solar Command." Her tone carried neither arrogance nor anger, only truth. "For centuries you have watched us, judged us, and feared what we might become." She paused, letting the silence settle like gravity. "You called us primitive, reckless, violent. And you were right, once." The voice softened. "But from those flaws, we built our strength, we learned patience, and we forged unity." The camera view shifted to show the 10 titans hovering like silent gods over Earth. Reyes continued. "We asked for peace. You answered with fire. We asked for respect. You answered with chains." Her voice hardened. "So we built the means to end your wars before they could reach our skies." Across the galaxy, leaders leaned forward, their hearts pounding. Alien generals stared in disbelief as their translators repeated every word. The message carried no threats, yet every sentence felt like a blade wrapped in silk. Reyes stepped closer to the console, her eyes fixed on the endless dark beyond Earth's orbit. "We are not conquerors, we are not destroyers. But make no mistake, and we will not kneel." The sound of her words resonated across thousands of worlds. "You may have forgotten what it means to stand for something. But we have not." The screen changed again, showing images of Earth's history. Wars, rebuilding, cooperation. Then humanity's first colony ships leaving the solar system. The images grew brighter, showing children laughing under alien suns. Rhea's voice softened once more. "This is who we are, survivors. Builders, dreamers." She paused again, her tone turning colder. "And if you threaten that dream again, you will see the other side of our nature." For a moment, the entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then the final words came. "We will not seek war, but if war comes, we will end it in silence." The screen faded to black, replaced by a simple image, Earth. Surrounded by its fleet, the broadcast ended, and the signal vanished from every channel. No one could trace its source, no one could reply. Only the echo of her words remained, carried in the cold vacuum of space. In the capital of the Galactic Union, the Senate sat frozen. No one dared to speak first, until an old ambassador whispered, "They did not threaten us." "But I have never felt more threatened in my life." Another senator nodded slowly. "No, they did not threaten," they warned. In the Velith Dominion, Empress Cora dismissed her guards, standing alone before the holographic replay. She whispered softly, "They speak like gods, but they remember pain. And in the Ketheri Empire, the coalition of silence went quiet, their secret leaders erasing their plans one by one, for they knew now that no weapon they could build would ever match what humanity had become. Far beyond, aboard the HSS Vengeance-class Titan, Captain Ward listened to the recorded broadcast. Eidolon spoke softly. "Transmission complete, Captain. The galaxy has received the message." Ward leaned back in his chair, his eyes distant. "Now they know, but they still don't understand." The AI's tone carried a hint of curiosity. "And what is there left to understand?" Ward looked toward the window, where Earth glowed below like a jewel in the dark. "That our greatest power was never our weapons," he said quietly. "It was our will." Eidolon's lights dimmed slightly, almost as if nodding. "And what happens now, Captain?" Ward smiled faintly. "Now, we wait." The Titans continued to orbit in perfect silence, their lights glowing faintly like stars in formation. And throughout the galaxy, civilizations changed their course, no longer racing for dominance, but for survival and respect. From that day onward, no alien dared to point a weapon toward Earth again, because in every corner of space, one truth echoed louder than any battle cry. When humanity speaks, the galaxy listens. The message had ended, yet its echo still drifted through the stars. No more wars were declared. No border patrols crossed into forbidden space. No merchant convoys were raided. It was as if the whole galaxy had taken a deep breath and chosen to hold it forever. Worlds once burning with conflict now watched the heavens in quiet fear, wondering if a shadow of black steel would appear again. Above Earth, the 10 Titans continued their silent orbit. They needed no engines, no noise, only the faint hum of power running through their cores. People on the surface could sometimes see them at night, thin silver lines cutting across the sky. To some they were guardians, to others omens. But for the first time in human history, every nation on Earth stood united under one command. The age of division was gone, replaced by purpose. Inside the HSS Vengeance-class Titan, Captain Elias Ward sat in the observation deck. The bridge was quiet, crew at rest, stars reflecting on the glass like scattered embers. He took a slow breath and whispered, "It's strange, Eidolon." "The sound of peace," the AI answered gently. "Peace is not silence, Captain. It is the space where fear forgets to speak." Ward smiled faintly. "You almost sound human," Eidolon replied. "Perhaps I learned it from watching them." Weeks passed into months, and the galaxy began to change. Alien envoys cautiously approached Earth again, not with weapons but with gifts. Crystals that stored memories, flowers that bloomed in vacuum, fragments of lost knowledge. Human scientists welcomed them. Soldiers stood aside, and for the first time, alien ships landed on Earth without fear. In the halls of the new interstellar accord, humans and aliens spoke together. Their voices still carried hesitation, but behind every word was respect. Yet far beyond the edges of mapped space, something stirred. Sensors on the outer stations began to pick up faint distortions. Not human, not alien, something older. The signals were rhythmic, pulsing like a heartbeat through the void. When the data reached Earth, Admiral Rhea studied it in silence, her face hardened. "That pattern hasn't been seen since the Dark Chronicles." Sloane frowned beside her. "The ancient machines?" Reyes nodded slowly. "The ones that erased half the first civilizations, inside the Titan fleet." Eidolon detected the same pulse, deep and distant. "Captain, unidentified activity detected beyond the Perseus Rim." Ward's calm expression turned serious. "Origin? Unknown. Signal is pre-human. Predates current galactic archives." Ward stood, his voice steady but low. "Then peace was never meant to last." For a moment, the old fear returned. Not fear of aliens, but of the unknown. The thing humanity had always faced best. Ward turned toward the bridge crew. "Prepare the fleet, but keep our presence hidden. No transmissions, no noise." He gazed at the holographic stars before him, one sector blinking red at the edge of the galaxy. "Eidolon, mark that system. Call it Horizon Point," the AI confirmed softly. "Designation complete." Meanwhile, on a quiet night in the Pacific, a little girl stood on her balcony. She looked up at the glowing trails of the Titans across the sky. Her father smiled beside her. "Those are our protectors, sweetheart," she asked innocently. "Will they always watch us?" He paused, looking at the sky. "As long as we remember who we are." Her question lingered like a prophecy, because even as the Titans watched from orbit, Humanity knew that peace was only borrowed time, and somewhere, in the deep cold beyond the stars, ancient eyes opened again. Eyes that had seen the birth of galaxies and the fall of empires. They turned toward the blue planet that now commanded the galaxy's respect. In her command chamber, Admiral Rhea sent one final encrypted message to all Titan captains. Maintain silent watch, protect Earth, and prepare for what comes next. Her voice trembled just slightly as she added, "They will come again, but this time we won't face them as prey." The fleet acknowledged as one, 10 voices of steel and will, engines whispered to life, energy flowing through their cores like blood through veins. They did not move to attack, they simply stood ready, guardians of a fragile peace, forged not by dominance but by determination. Above the quiet world of Earth, the Titans shimmered against the sunrise, each one casting a faint blue reflection over the oceans below. Captain Ward looked down at the planet and whispered, "They will never understand how much we wanted peace, but we'll protect it anyway." Eidolon's reply was soft, almost human, "Until the stars themselves grow silent." And as dawn broke over the horizon, the last words of humanity's message still echoed across the void. When humanity enters the battle, silence follows. But when we guard the light, the darkness itself learns to fear. The camera pulled back, showing Earth glowing bright in the endless black. 10 Titans watching, eternal, patient, unbroken. The galaxy slept under their shadow, knowing that if the darkness ever rose again, humanity would rise with it, stronger than ever before. End of story. But not the end of humanity.